A very good noon to all of you. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. I am Nikita, and today we are going to talk about your previous year CAT papers. We will look at what all kinds of passages have come, what all kinds of questions have come, right? So it will be a previous year analysis of sorts, right? Hello, Varun. I'm good. I'm good. I hope the same for you. Right. So because it's a part of the RC toolkit, of course, our focus will be primarily on RC passages, right? And I will talk to you in detail about CAT RC passages. See, as far as NMAT RC passages are concerned, we don't have previous year NMAT papers available, right? So you just have model papers, and those are also available in the official guide, the practice papers, the model papers, right? So I'm going to focus a lot on CAT today, and you can ask me any queries that you have about other exams also. CAT and ZAT passages are, ZAT passages are usually of a relatively higher level, but as far as the genres are concerned, as far as the sources are concerned, CAT and ZAT RC passages have a lot of sources in common. Okay, so a good noon to all of you. Hi Varun. Hello Apurva, Varsha, Govind. A very good noon. I'm good. I hope the same for you all. Good to see you. Hi, Kashish. Good noon. All right. So let's talk about some CAT RC passages. Okay, we'll look at the previous year paper, right? We'll take out some findings from there, and then we'll proceed. We'll also practice an RC passage as usual for NMAT and SNAP. Okay. Good afternoon, Divya. So Varsha has a question that how should we practice RC passages for NMAT and SNAP. Okay, first of all, so if I talk about SNAP, for the last 2 years, SNAP has not asked RC passages. Okay, for the last 2 years. So the 15 questions that it has in general English, it calls the section general English instead of VARC or verbal ability and reading comprehension. These 15 questions have been distributed like this: grammar, vocabulary, and parajumbles. So no RC passages for the last 2 years. But before that, it did ask RC passages. Sometimes there used to be one long RC passage, okay, and sometimes there used to be two short RC passages. So that's how it varied. 8 to 10 questions from RC passages used to be there earlier. Now, when it used to ask them, so the passages, the level of the passages, the language of the passages, they were not very difficult. So, in case you are someone who is preparing for CAT, in case you are preparing for CAT, then and SNAP RC passages particularly, and NMAT can still sometimes surprise you, but SNAP RC passages will not be a challenge for you because most of its questions also tend to be direct. Okay, so you will see above 50% of the questions being direct questions. Even if they are inference questions, let's say, in an off chance, if they are inference questions also, then also the options will be pretty far apart. So SNAP RC passages do not usually pose a challenge for the students. They did not pose a challenge till the time they were asked. This year, see, we don't know whether an RC passage will be asked or not. If the trend continues, then it will not be asked. If it does not, then it may be asked. Right? So I would not suggest any special preparation for SNAP RCs in case you're preparing for CAT and NMAT. Okay. NMAT RC passages, see in NMAT actually the main constraint is that of time. Okay. Because of this time constraint and because of the fact that you do not know when you will encounter an RC passage in the adaptive test, there is some uncertainty around this. So last year, if I particularly focus on last year, fortunately RC passages came for a lot of students towards the end. So they attempted their vocabulary and grammar first, and then RC passages came. Now these RC passages were a mixed bag, as in if two RC passages came, then one of them was relatively easy. Okay. One could be tricky in terms of its questions. Okay. Or in terms of its language. It varies across lots. You know about NMAT, right? So in NMAT, this is how the scenario is. So easy RC passage will have more of direct questions, will have options that are far apart. And of course, the moment you see, that, okay, this question is a direct question, because you can't even scroll in NMAT, you can't go to the other questions. So if, let's say, you have a passage and you have a question in front of your screen, it is a direct question. The language of the passage is also not extraordinarily difficult, then it makes sense to attempt this question. Okay, because the level of your next question will depend on whether you mark this one correctly or not, right? And moreover, if it is a direct question, it mostly, most probably you will get it correct. So this is how you attempt this would be your exam strategy. Now, if you're asking me how to prepare, so to say, outside the exam for NMAT, I would say that when you practice your CAT RC passages, then for the tricky ones, the CAT RC passages are of the same level. Okay, for the tricky ones of NMAT, they actually match the level of CAT. So nothing that I have seen that is above the level of CAT or ZAT for that matter. Again, in NMAT, I haven't seen any such RC passage whose level has been above CAT or ZAT. So I think my suggestion to you is that prepare for CAT and ZAT. When you prepare for these two exams, your RC passage preparation for every exam is sorted. Because all the other exams, their RC passage level is usually easier than CAT and ZAT both. Okay, so in case you practice CAT previous year papers, CAT RC passages, ZAT previous year papers, ZAT RC passages, automatically your prep for NMAT RCs is also sorted, right? Because in CAT also you now have a time constraint that you have to attempt an RC passage in approximately 7.5 minutes. So you are operating under a tight constraint here as well. Okay. The only difference that can come in the exam is, let's say, if a tricky RC passage is my last passage, I am short of time also, then what I do is I mark let's say there are 4 questions, then I try my best to mark an answer, right? If it's a direct question, of course, I'll try more, I'll scan and try. But if it's an inferential question and the language of the passage has also been tough, then I mark something randomly and go to the next question. If it comes towards the end, this tricky passage, that's what my strategy is. Right? Because I'm trying to maximize my score and I have to attempt all the questions. There's a penalty if I don't attempt all the questions. Okay. So I hope I have addressed this query, because see, for every exam, it's very dependent on the structure of the exam, on what kinds of questions are asked, right? And for NMAT, it becomes all the more important because it is adaptive. Okay. Now, coming to solutions are available for this mock test. Suraj, yes, they will be made available to you after 18th. Okay, because 9th to 18th, the mock test is live, right? This All India Open mock test. It is live from 9th to 18th. You can register yourself even now in case you still haven't. And once this 18th September is over, then we will release the solutions. You will get your percentiles. Okay, you will see a mock attempt by various experts. You will also see question-wise video solutions, right? So this will happen after 18. Non-IAM there was an option. Will it be different if I register for IAM CAT? That option, Varun, it's there for basically you are registering for non-IAM colleges there. Non-IAM colleges that accept CAT exam. It's not like 2 CATs happen. One is for IAMs, one is for non-IAMs. The exam is the same. That option is there to register for non-IAMs, mainly the colleges. Okay, that's the college registration. All right. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kashish. Okay, so Varsha is saying that she's not preparing for CAT. In that case, the job becomes very, very easy. If you're focused on NMAT and SNAP, see for SNAP, the previous year memory-based papers are available online. So go through those and that will suffice. Okay. For NMAT, just purchase the official guide. They provide an official guide. There you have a lot of model RC passages. Practice from there. Okay, and of course, mocks are a must, whichever exam you take. So take 5 to 6 NMAT mocks. You will realize that time dynamics that I'm talking about. You will get acquainted with them very well. Okay, so this is how, and otherwise, let's say if you're talking about building speed reading, building those skills, those basics, those concepts remain the same for every exam. So you have to read every day, right? You have to read, I'll tell you some sources also today, that has to be done. Then you have to solve some passages every day. So these could be from NMAT official guide, these could be from SNAP previous year papers. These could be from CAT previous year papers also. Even if you're not preparing for CAT, if the level is similar, if NMAT tricky passages level is similar to CAT, there is no harm, no, in picking up that CAT previous year paper and practicing from there. So this is how you practice, right? So for an everyday practice, I would say at least 1 to 2 RCs every day, right? And for your exam prep, mocks, previous year papers, memory based papers. And for NMAT, they've given an official guide so as to tell you that this is the level that we ask, right? Okay, okay. What to do in CAT if the RC passage is tricky and time is short? This is a very pertinent question, Devansh. It actually shows me that you are taking some tests, and that's why it's a very practical problem that students face. Okay, I'll just address this. Uh, okay, so see this. I am going to the next slide here. Okay, so your question is that RC is tricky and time is short. You have less time at hand, right? Now, in such a scenario, what I do is I read the RC passage, okay, to the best of my ability. Of course, I'm reading with a sense of urgency. It's not like I'm reading word by word there. And I become selective with my questions. Okay, so out of 4 questions, if I already found reading the RC passage difficult, I'll not go for all the 4 questions. I'll try that I attempt 2 out of 4 questions. And if you look at your previous year CAT 2021 papers, no, you will see that even in the difficult passages, 2 out of 4 questions were doable. 2 out of 4 questions in the 2 difficult passages that were there in almost every slot were pretty doable. So in such a case, my focus is on getting a 70-80% comprehension. Okay, if I am able to. Okay, if not, then I am pretty selective with the questions. That's what I do. Okay. All right. Then which mocks to buy? You can actually try diagnostic tests by various institutes. See, various institutes will provide you 1 or 2 free tests. So just take them free tests and then you'll realize what the level is. Does it match your expectations? Does it match the previous year papers level? Right. So if you buy the NMAT official guide, you know the previous year's level also, right? You know the practice papers level. So you can try it for yourself and decide. Okay. Oh, this addresses your query, Varsha. Not able to attempt all 4 RCs in mocks. This is a very common problem, Devansh. It's not just you who's facing this. A lot of students face this. Okay, just you who are facing this. Sorry. So a lot of students face this, and it's okay. So first of all, I think keep prioritizing. It takes hardly 30 to 40 seconds in the exam, because when you prioritize, you at least your easy passages are sorted. Yes, at least there your accuracy is ensured. And when you come to the 4th passage, I understand that it's tricky also now. Now the time is also less for you. So there you can be selective. Okay. And it depends from mock to mock. So Devansh, in case you, for instance, enrolled for our mocks, in some of our mocks, you will, with practice, you will realize this. For instance, take this All India mock. Okay. I assure you that if you have taken the previous 9 mocks, no, you will get time to attempt all the 4 RC passages. I experienced this myself, that I didn't have to rush. Okay. And that's because I had taken all the 9 previous mocks. So with practice, one thing is that you will improve. And if in the exam you feel that, if let's say 2 or 3 RC passages come out to be tricky, and in the exam you feel you're not able to do justice to the 4th RC passage, you know what to do. Just be selective with the questions. Okay. But gradually, slowly, you will accommodate that time that you are able to at least read the passage and at least glance at the questions, so that two to karib aao. So wo dheere dheere with practice you will improve, right? And please make this, keep this in mind. That's what I want to say. Do not spend more than 7 to 8 minutes on any RC passage. So what I have seen students doing is that in the beginning they're pretty chilled out about it. Okay, they'll not look at the timer, right? And in the first passage they're giving 10 minutes. In the second passage also they're giving 10 minutes. Then once 20 minutes are over, they start panicking, right? So keep this in mind. You do not have to give more than 7 to 8 minutes to any RC passage, no matter how tempted you are. Right? When you stick to this, no, when you train your mind to stick to these limits, automatically you start attempting within these 7 to 8 minutes. Your mind trains itself कि अच्छा इतना ही time है इसमें ही करना है मुझे. Okay, and automatically you are able to devote more time to your fourth RC passage. Initially, probably you'll just be able to read it and attempt one question. Gradually, you'll be able to read it and attempt two questions. After that, you'll probably be able to read all the four questions, then choose two out of them and attempt the two easy out of them. Even if you reach there, that's actually a good thing. Okay, so it's a gradual process, happens with time. All right. RCs and mocks are a bit on the tougher side. Yes, yes. It's not your feeling, it's the truth, Divya. Okay. We make the mocks to be tougher than the actual exam. So that if you get an 85 percentile in the mock, that means a 90 percentile in the actual exam. So you can actually increase your score by 5 percentile when it comes to the actual CAT exam. That is always the effort. Because if I prepare you for something tough, then even if something slightly less tough comes, it will still be easier for you, right? So mocks, the effort, the idea behind mocks is this only, to expose you to something slightly tougher, at least 10 to 20% tougher. Okay. All right. Rajesh, so there are no night classes separately for RC passages. In case you are enrolled with us, we have classes from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Okay, some of these are going to be RC classes, some of these are grammar, vocabulary, verbal logic. This is how it goes. Okay. Varsha, right from the beginning. I understand that it can be very daunting and we are very hesitant. There's a hesitation that's there. No, I haven't prepared everything. How can I give a mock? I will score less. We already have this, and whenever we put ourselves in an uncomfortable environment, we are always hesitant. Yes. So, however, for the first month, please do take mocks, and maybe you will score less. Maybe you may surprise yourself also, right? That despite, let's say, 50%, 60% preparation, you are still able to attempt quite a few questions in the exam. But do take one mock per week in September. This will be my suggestion to you. Okay. Uh, because if you decide on one mock per week, let's say even if you miss out on 1 week, at least three mocks you will have taken in September. So with these three mocks, actually you'll get to know what are your strengths, your weaknesses. You might evolve a strategy for yourself, so that these things are not left, let's say, for the last 2 months. In the last 2 months, you just work on your strengths. Okay, you let's say if you feel that my weakness is not that big a weakness and I can improve on it, that's what October is meant for, right? So, and November is just practice, practice, practice. So my suggestion is, please take mocks right from the beginning. One mock per week is enough. You don't need more, right? And in November, yes, you can decide to take two per week. That's up to you, right? But never more than two, and at this stage, not less than one per week. Okay, and you will, and for VARC, you'll get to learn a lot from the mocks. There's no syllabus as such, no, in VARC. So for my section, you don't have to worry at all about first finishing the syllabus as such, right? Para summary and para jumbles first. Will that help me in saving time for RCs at the end? So Varun, it's very subjective. See what works. So why don't you take a sectional and see in that what works for you? So take two sectionals for that matter. In one sectional, attempt the VA part at the end. I think you must have been attempting it towards the end only till now, right? So in one sectional, decide this, that today I'll attempt VA first and then RCs. See if you save time. If you are saving time, if let's say you are speedier here, then definitely go for this order. Go for that order that works for you. Some students read two RCs, then take a break, they attempt VA and then two RCs. Some students attempt all the RCs in one go and then they go for VA. They feel, okay, now there is a burden off my chest and now I can attempt VA in peace. So it differs from student to student. You have to see which strategy works best for you. Okay. So my suggestion, if you ask me, I do not like to leave a tricky RC passage for the very last minutes. This is something that does not work for me, and that's why I don't like to do it. uh, if it works for you, nothing like it. Okay, so go by the way in which through which you can maximize your score. Sectionals daily will be useful. Yes, Suraj, it depends on where you stand currently. If you feel that your current level of RC passages is not up to the mark, and you need a lot of practice, then yes, one sectional daily you can take, but do take out time to analyze it. Then you should know which all questions you got wrong and why you got them wrong. Okay, and then you need to think, okay, tomorrow what will I do differently in my sectional? Okay, and how will I try to avoid these errors? So that has to happen. So yes, you can take sectionals daily. It all depends on your comfort level. Okay, then mark score keeps fluctuating, especially when it comes to RC and verbal, and the other exactly the opposite. But I still saw 2 more RCs every day. Will I improve? Yes, yes. So Divya, you know what you can keep in mind. So for instance, in the mock in which you scored low, just dissect it like anything. Drill down and see why it happened. Was it genuinely difficult? See, focus on your percentile. Scores fluctuate depending on the difficulty level of the mock. See if your percentile is constant, consistent, steady, or is that also fluctuating? If that is fluctuating, then in the mock in which your VARC percentile is low, just drill down. Okay, see that. Okay, what caused it? Was it let's say I panicked? Was it my temperament? Was it that an RC passage was really nasty? Was it that majority of the RC passages were difficult here? In that case, then your percentage should be decent if majority were difficult. So there can be multiple causes behind a fluctuating score, and a fluctuating score isn't always bad. It's your percentile that has to be consistent. Okay, and yes, if you solve 2 RCs every day, okay, and you also see your mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, you work on the concepts because of which those mistakes are being caused, you will definitely improve. Please keep at it. Okay, don't leave this. Right? Okay, so let's begin with the session. Good that you had queries, you asked them. If you have more queries, you can ask them. That is what these sessions are meant for. Now, if I look at the 2021 RC pattern, I'm sure all of you are acquainted with it by now. So we got 4 RC passages. In most of the slots, students reported that 2 of the RC passages were tricky and 2 were pretty easy, right? And by pretty easy, I don't mean easy such that they've just picked up something from, let's say, the TOI Times of India and they gave it to you. No, it was not that easy. But if a student has had a decent amount of practice, they were able to tackle all the 4 questions. That's my definition of easy. Para summary, 3 questions. Para jumbles, 4 sentence without any negative marking, no negative marking. Okay, 4 sentence. Here you had to make a sequence. Here you just had to identify the odd sentence. So 5 questions from para jumbles. 24 questions in all had to be attempted in 40 minutes. That's why I say that you have approximately 7.5 minutes per RC, because that translates to 30 minutes in your RC passages. And you do need about 8 to 10 minutes for your VA section. Right? +3 -1, this also everybody knows that there is negative marking in CAT. 1/3 negative mark. Now, this is an analysis of your RC topics that were asked in CAT 2021. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. Utopia, dystopia. Straight away, this is political philosophy. Political philosophy. It talked about the conception of utopia and dystopia of a thinker, if I remember it correctly. T-trade. This was history plus business. Right. Cuttlefish experiment. A clear science passage, right? So it was biology. In biology, also particularly zoology, if you want to categorize it further. Then who do the Mayans consider a person? What was their definition of persons? The Mayan civilization. Mayan civilization. Right. And tea trade was also international tea trade that we discussed. This thinker that we discussed was also a Western thinker. There's a point that I'm trying to make through this. Right. This one falls in history and sociology actually, because we are trying to find out what was their definition of a person in their society. Who all did they call a person? So do you see something? A number of things emerged from here. uh, Diverse genres. So political philosophy, history, business, science, biology, sociology. So very diverse genres, first of all. Secondly, cross-genre passages, meaning that it's not that one passage is exclusively restricted to one genre only. No, this actually talked about history of tea trade also, and what were the economic concerns that played a part. Then this talked about the history because it's about the Mayan civilization which existed in the past, and their definition of a person, their notion of who a person is, what all characteristics a person possesses. So that's the sociology topic. So cross-genre passages have been in trend in CAT, in ZAT. Also humanities and social sciences. See, this is humanities and social sciences. This is humanities and social sciences. And this is also humanities and social sciences. So HSS, as I like to call it, this again has been very popular in the recent years, along with environment and ecology, because that's the relevant debate of our times, right? So please look at your previous year papers and see, you yourself will find this, that you are getting a lot of cross-genre passages, right? So nationalism and colonialism, see, this was history plus philosophy, because we talked about the philosophy behind colonialism here. This was linguistics, language, philosophy, knowledge and skepticism, philosophy again. So philosophy is also a very major topic. Okay, and ZAT is particularly known for its philosophy RC passages. Okay, it is infamous for its philosophy RC passages. Technology. See, so many cutting edge developments happening in the tech space, particularly artificial intelligence. So this could be one of the topics that you may be questioned on in the coming exam. Right. Again, this was science, linguistics, psychology, psychoanalysis. In 2020, you had a passage on aggression, which we did in one of the classes. So what I analyzed, and this what I'm going to tell you is based on an analysis of your previous all CAT papers, all the previous CAT papers, not just the 2021 paper. This is what I found out, that in the recent 6 years, in the last 6 years, if I just talk about them, the sources of your RC passages have been international sources. The writers have also been international authors. Okay, we are not just confined with what Indian writers are writing. The subjects have also been pretty global, right? Also, there is a high prevalence of cross-genre articles, articles that span multiple genres and not just one single genre. So these have been some of the findings from an analysis of your previous year papers. Now, there are some questions here. Let me address. What is the strategy to improve English? Gagandeep, the only strategy to improve English is, see, to any language, there are 4 elements. This is something that I keep telling you: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So, the more you do this in English, the better you will become at English. Read more in English, listen more in English. So students ask me to speak in Hindi a lot of times during the sessions. But if you're trying to learn English, then you should listen to more and more people speaking English, right? So these 4 elements, improve on these and automatically you'll improve at English. Deciding the order, but 30 seconds, they want 30 to 40 seconds max. And you will be able to do it in 30-40 seconds. That's what I do every single time in every mock. Okay, and I'm able to do it successfully. Okay, all right. Now, some of the sources of your RC passages. Now, this is based on a previous analysis of all your CAT and ZAT papers. CAT and ZAT papers. The previous findings, they related to the last 6 years. Okay, because for the last 6 years, the pattern has been pretty much consistent in the sense that you get a majority RC passages and a minority of your parajungles and parasummary. Right? It has been pretty consistent since 2015. So, how many years have passed? 7 years. 7 years. Okay. Now, sources of RC passages. The NYT. You have had passages from this, from NYT multiple times in CAT and ZAT. The Guardian. So these are 2 international newspapers. BBC.com and BBC History Magazine. So basically sources from the BBC. Eon.co. I think all of us are aware about this, right? Eon.co is a popular e-magazine with students who are preparing for CAT. Smithsonian Mag, Scientific American, Time Magazine, The Economist. So now see, these are 2 very popular magazines. The Atlantic is also a popular e-magazine. So these have been the sources. I'm not giving these to you out of my own wish and will. These have been the sources of many of your CAT and ZAT previous year RC passages. So definitely I recommend you to read from them. And increasingly, you've been having excerpts from non-fiction books, right? So increasingly, this also has been the trend in CAT and XAT. Also, what I observed that sometimes CAT and XAT, they ask you articles from various encyclopedias. Okay, so for instance, there was an RC passage in CAT from an encyclopedia of behavioral geography. Okay, there was one from an encyclopedia of sociology. So even from here, you can be questioned if, let's say, I want to make the passage to be relatively tricky for a student. Okay, so these can be the sources of your RC passages. Eon and NMAT, I don't think, Varsha. Actually, see, the thing is that none of us have NMAT RC passages, right? All we have are practice papers. So, because once NMAT is over, it is over, and it is different for every student out there. We don't even know if the student sitting next to us has got the same passages as we have got, right? So nobody has actually access to the sources of RC passages for NMAT. But what I have seen, you do not get RC passages that are extremely difficult there. So even if they ask something from Eon, it will not be something that will be very, very niche. Okay, something that will be in the nature of a research paper, let's say. That will not be the case, right? Okay, so these have been the sources of your RC passages. So students ask me, what are the important genres? See, even if I give you broad important genres, there are so many things within a genre, so many sub-disciplines within a particular broad genre. So for instance, if I tell you, what? HSS, Humanities and Social Sciences, has become increasingly popular. See, all of these are under HSS, and I haven't listed all. These are some. History, political science, political philosophy, philosophy in general, sociology, anthropology, psychology, geography, gender studies, human rights. They are all a part of humanities and social sciences. Science and tech again. So science and tech, we usually see a one RC passage in every slot from science and tech. This could be environment ecology. This could be related to biology. It could be a tech passage. So neuroscience or artificial intelligence. So this is what we see in science and tech, and science and tech and business and economics are pretty frequent. These genres in your CAT as well as your SAT. So ultimately, what happens if I have to see it, it's just like your 11th, 12th streams, humanities, science and commerce. So these are your broad streams, and within this, very specific topics can be asked. Others would be art, let's say language, etc. On these also, you may get RC passages, but these are the dominant ones, right? So I hope this addresses the concern as to what are the important genres. Yes, enjoying the session so far? Or are a lot of thoughts running in your head? Any confusion, please ask. I'll answer. And with this, armed with this knowledge, now what we are going to do, we are going to attempt an RC passage. Okay, this is this passage that we are going to attempt. T-Trade, CAT 2021, slot 1. Right, we'll see what kind of passage it was. You will tell me at the end whether it was easy for you, whether it was moderate or it was difficult. Right, and when the class finishes today, we will start reading some cross genre articles from these sources, and we'll try to read diverse genres. Then only the purpose of attending this class will be successful, right? So from sports, we've had passages about rituals. Yes, various rituals that can be taken to be sports. Apart from that, the use of children playing, and the impact of children playing on, let's say, their psychological development. I think we've had that also. Something sports, I'll just search and tell you. Okay, meanwhile you attempt an RC passage, something, if something that is very niche and related to sports has been asked, right? I'll tell you. Okay, so I hope you've gone and pressed the like button, and I can proceed to our RC passage. So this is our RC passage. I've put just one paragraph on one slide. Read it, and the moment you finish the paragraph, let me know. I'll move to the next slide. Okay. All right. Start. Done. All right. Moving to the next slide. Done. All right. Going to the next slide again. Done. All right. Yeah. Adulterated is something that's, it has been mixed with impurities. That is adulterated. Civilization and community. Have you read this part? I hope you've completed. I hope you are there. All right, then let's go to the questions. Okay, so the author of this book review, this is a book review. It's about a person who's written a book on the history of tea trade. Uh, and what is she least likely? The author of this book review, now not the author of the book, remember this, is least likely to support the view that. Yes, tell me. So we've just read some part that is needed to answer this question. Should I go back? If I just look at the last paragraph, it says, I have been offered tea at a British garden party, a Bedouin campfire, a Turkish carpet shop, and a Japanese chashitsu, to name a few settings. In each case, the offering was more than an idea. Friendship, community, respect, than a drink. It was more an idea than a drink. And in each case, the idea then created a reality. It is not a stretch to say that tea marketers have advanced the particularly noble cause of human dialogue and friendship. Based on this, which options can you reject? Yes. Which options can be rejected? The ritual of drinking tea promotes congeniality and camaraderie. Camaraderie is friendship. Congeniality is again when things are pleasant, when you are, congenial means something that's suitable, something that's hospitable. So congeniality here would mean hospitality, right? So yes, this is something that I just read: friendship, community, respect, human dialogue, friendship. So this is eliminated very easily. Okay. This, I understand you're saying three because you might be thinking, how come are we saying worldwide? How come are we using the term worldwide? So let's keep it in the fold, but let's see if there are other options. Okay. Tea drinking was sometimes promoted as a patriotic duty. This is something that's given. So the author will agree with this. It has been stated that during the Second World War, yes. And moreover, see, whenever tea was marketed, people were told that they were advancing the cause of the nation, right? Uh, then, during the Second World War, tea service was presented as a social and patriotic activity that uplifted soldiers and calmed refugees. So, even one is mentioned. The author is going to support one. So, one and two eliminated. We're left with three and four. Three we are iffy about. Four, tea became the leading drink in Britain in the 19th century. Is this given in the passage? That tea became the leading drink in Britain in the 19th century? Yes. Tell me. We are saying that in British India it was there. Yes. Okay, it was marketed by educated Englishmen. That was there. There was this anti-Chinese sentiment because of which, we started supply chains in British India. So, but I didn't see this anywhere that tea became the leading drink in Britain in the 19th century. This is alien, not mentioned at all. So what should be our answer then in that case between 3 and 4? Between one that we are slightly iffy about and between something that's not there at all. The author is least likely to support 4. Okay. 3, we can infer. We can infer because British, Bedouin, Turkish, Japanese, and these are also a few settings that the author is naming. That means in quite a few countries, tea is now it has become a social ritual. Okay. I suddenly feel like having tea on reading so much about it. So, fourth is the answer here. The language of this RC passage is easy to moderate, if you ask me. It's not exactly very easy. It's not your newspaper style language. But this language matches what I've read in. There used to be this magazine with the Hindu. I haven't bought it for a long time, so I don't know if it's still there. The Hindu Sunday magazine. It has a lot of book reviews. So I'm not saying that this is from the Hindu Sunday magazine, but that used to have a similar kind of language for its book reviews, the one that we are reading right now. So I would not call it difficult as such. Okay, good. 4 is the answer. Varun, Mohit, and the link to attempt the All India Open Mock is there in your chat boxes. You can see. And I hope this is clear to you. Fourth was not there at all. So please retain what you read. You should remember the stuff you've read so that you can find out that, okay, this was not there at all. I don't see that this was mentioned. And see, just to confirm, I still went back to wherever British or Britain was mentioned, right? So I realized that, okay, British India was mentioned when we talked about the supply chains, right? So, but I did not see the mention of Britain, this becoming the leading drink in Britain, right? So fourth is our answer. Okay. Question 2. This book review argues that according to Rappaport, tea is unlike other morality products because it T is unlike other morality products because it appealed to a universal group and not just to a niche section of people, confined, limited section of people, had an actual beneficial effect on social interaction and society in general, was actively encouraged by interest groups in the government, was marketed by a wide range of interest groups. So, in what sense is it unlike other morality products? Now, you should be able to remember where morality products have been talked about. That sort of a geographical retention that, okay, in para 2 or para 3, this was mentioned, that has to be there. Okay, so let's see. Morality products. We do talk about commodities. Yes, see, morality marketing. I've spotted it here. Commodity histories are now themselves commodities. Okay. Recent works investigate cotton, salt, cod, sugar, chocolate, paper, and milk. And morality marketing is now a commodity as well, applied to food, fair trade, fair trade apparel, and ecotourism. Yet, now we've come to the main part. Yet, T is Rappaport makes clear a world apart. An astonishing success story in which tea marketers not only succeeded in conveying a sense of moral elevation to the consumer, but also arguably did advance the cause of civilization and community. Your answer has to be based on this part from here to here. Sorry. Yes. So I've got. I'll help you, Mohit. Let's just wrap this one up. Question 2. What do you say? Waiting for your responses. I won't proceed till I see more responses. I've got just 2 threes. Others. Bache, Rappaport is the name of the person, the name of the author of this book. All right. Let me only discuss this then. We just read this that there are a lot of morality products out there today. What do I mean by morality products? Those products that say that okay, we are sustainable. So it makes moral sense to buy a product that's calling itself, let's say, environmentally sustainable. A lot of tourist destinations, for instance. So a lot of tourists have become very environmental conscious. So they go to only those resorts that are environmentally sustainable. Then they buy only those clothes that are a product of fair trade. That means there is no slavery, there is no underpayment in their supply chain. The laborers have been paid well. Okay, they eat only that food that let's say veganism. Veganism is nothing but a sort of a morality product only, right? That they eat only that food that does not harm anybody else in the process. So this is morality marketing. Yet, Rappaport says that tea is different from these products. Why? Because tea marketers didn't just create this sense; they were not just marketing it. That if you buy tea, if you have tea, you are morally elevated. They actually caused good changes to the society, to the civilization, to the community. They did advance the cause of civilization and community. That is how tea is different from these, as per the passage. So what should be our answer? It should be 2. They had an actual beneficial effect on social interaction and society in general. Civilization, community and civilization. The author has just paraphrased that. Advance the cause of his beneficial effect. Okay, social interaction, community. When you have a community around you, why do we have communities? Okay, for social purposes only, right? Society, our civilization is our society in a way. So 2 is the one that fits the best given the context. बाकी सब कुछ तो mentioned ही नहीं ना. This is not mentioned there. This is not mentioned there. Even this is not mentioned there. I have to stick to the relevant parts of my RC passage. Okay, while let's say you might think that in general this is true, because you know in Turkey also it's being drunk in Bedouin people are also drinking it. Let's say this was your thought process behind one, but is it answering the question about morality products? This may be generally true from the RC passage, but it's not addressing the current question, the current discussion. So stick to the relevant parts. Okay, then. 2 is most likely not so बच्चे वर्षा वो unlikely नहीं बोल रहा, वो unlike बोल रहा है. Unlike means not similar. How is tea not similar to the other morality products? Because while, as per the author of this passage, other morality products may just create this sense in you that you are doing something that's benefiting the society. When I become a vegan, let's say, why do I become it? Because I have this feeling in me that I am doing something good for the society. But T actually did it. That's what Rappaport, the author of the book, is saying. That T ने actually में वो करके दिखाया. It didn't just create this sense of moral elevation. It actually advanced the cause of community and civilization. Okay. So unlike and unlikely are different. Okay. Coming to one, tea drinking was sometimes. So sometimes has been added because it was not always that we said that tea drinking was a patriotic duty. It was during the Second World War that this particularly came to fore. In fact, this sometimes was needed here. Okay, because it was during the Second World War that it was promoted as a patriotic duty. Yeah, patriotic activity, social and patriotic activity. So sometimes needed to be there, right? Okay. Coming to question number 3. Okay, all right, Gagandeep. So question 3 देखते हैं. According to this book review, A Thirst for Empire, this is the name of the book. According to this book review, A Thirst for Empire says that in addition to profit-motivated marketers, tea drinking was promoted in Britain by all of the following. So who all promoted tea drinking? 3 of them will promote. 1 of them did not promote tea drinking in Britain. You have to tell me who did not promote. Yes. किसने प्रमोट नहीं करा टी ड्रिंकिंग को, वो बताओ. लेट्स गो बैक. एक बार वापस जाते हैं, और ये डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन है क्योंकि दिस इज अ डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन. सो वील गेट दिस. वापस जाते हैं. ओके. Beginning in the 1700s, the temperance movement. Temperance means abstinence from alcohol. Alcohol नहीं लेना, उसको temperance बोलते हैं, right? The temperance movement advocated for tea as a pleasure that cheered, it made you happy, but it did not inebriate, but it at the same time did not make you drunk also, right? So the temperance movement advocated, that means the anti-alcohol groups, they supported, advocated means supported, so they supported drinking of tea. Okay. Industrialists also supported. Why did they support? उनको क्या फायदा हो रहा है? They soon borrowed this moral argument in advancing their case for free trade in tea. They just wanted free trade in tea. So they said, see, it's so beneficial. It's not like alcohol. Please let us have free trade in tea. So industrialists also supported. Factory owners joined in. Factory owners ने भी support करना शुरू कर दिया. Why? उनको क्या फायदा हो रहा है? Because they were compelled by the cause of a sober workforce. So earlier probably laborers used to drink a lot. Okay, so they felt that if they drink tea instead of alcohol, they'll be sober. That will be good for them. If they are sober, they'll be more productive. Even Christian missionaries supported. So 1, 2, 3, and now even Christian missionaries also supported the drinking of tea. So what was their motivation? Their motivation was that if, let's say, a country colonizes you, right? So let's say the Britishers colonized us, tea can somehow, in their opinion, it could soothe us. Okay, it could actually make that wound less in its intensity. Okay, it could make us hurt less. That was the logic of Christian missionaries. So these four people supported, four sets of people supported. I think we have our answer already. So who did not support? Mohit has answered. Others? Gagandeep, आप बताओ. Sobriety again means not being sober, means not being drunk. The answer is going to be 2 because tea drinkers themselves have not been mentioned from what I've just read. 2 is not mentioned anywhere. Therefore, 2 is the answer. Manufacturers pressing for duty-free imports mentioned. Anti-alcohol lobby mentioned. Okay, so 3 cannot be the answer, 4 cannot be the answer, and factory owners, of course, mentioned. Okay, good, good. Anushka, Apurva, Varsha, excellent. Now, so vocabulary is important. See, students think that cat mein to aati nahi. Why should we do vocabulary? Because of these reasons. So if you do not know what temperance is, if you do not know what sobriety is, it might pose a problem for you in attempting these questions, right? Inebriated is drunk. So a lot of new words you may have learned through. Today, conflating. Conflating means mixing. Basically, mixing consumption with virtue can be seen in the marketing of. So you are mixing consumption, okay, and virtue means that, oh, this is morally also good. Morally also this is good. So you are making the consumer buy something also, and you are telling him, all right, what you are buying is morally good. So in the marketing of which all products this is done. We've read this part already for our question number 2. We've read this part already. So tell me, ergonomically, ergonomics is basically the study of the space around you. That is ergonomics, right? So ergo means work, and ergonomics is how you can work most efficiently in your workspace, right? So that's why we have ergonomical chairs so that you have your posture correct. So it's basically meant to maximize your efficiency in the working environment. That's the purpose of ergonomics. So this one says ergonomically designed products. All right. Travel to pristine destinations, pristine, untouched, pure destinations in a way, right? Natural health supplements. So these have been talked about. Okay. So in whose marketing can we see this? Conflating consumption with virtue. Hmm. Okay, you say 1, sustainably farmed foods. All right. Others? Do we agree? Health supplements and ergonomically designed products have not been discussed, right? They have not been discussed. It's between 1 and 3. So which is better between 1 and 3? Which is closer to my RC passage? Tell me. It is, we've discussed. No, 4. No, natural health supplements have not been discussed. See, क्या discuss हुआ है? Let's just see. Conflating consumption with virtue. Virtue is morality. Food, fair trade apparel, and ecotourism. So the ecotourism means that environment is prime here. Okay, so it's not just morality; it's a concern for environment that is prime here, right? So food, sustainably farmed foods is something that can be directly seen from what I have just read. travel to pristine destinations. It's not about traveling to those destinations where no one else has traveled. It's about traveling in a sustainable way, traveling in such a way that it doesn't harm the environment. I could go to Maldives and still I could encourage ecotourism. वो pristine destination तो नहीं है, सभी जाते रहते हैं वहाँ पे, yes, but I could still encourage sustainable tourism. Why? Because I stay at such a resort which offers me only sustainable food, or I stay with the local people, I experience local culture. That is ecotourism, not traveling to those destinations where others haven't traveled. Okay, so one is our answer. All right. No, consumption does not have to be necessarily food. Evito Lorenco. Okay. Consumption can be the consumption of anything. Okay. So, for instance, when you buy clothes also for yourself, it doesn't mean consumption is not equal to eating. It simply means you are using those clothes, right? You are the end user. That's what makes you a consumer, not eating something. Yes, ergonomically means more efficiency in work. So, where was that mentioned? We just talked about food, apparel, and ecotourism. This was also not mentioned. Okay. All right. So this is our RC passage for today. Do keep practicing RC passages on a daily basis, right? And you can start with, let's say, um, don't start with, let's say, 90s wala papers, because there the pattern will be pretty different. Okay, even if I discuss CAT previous year papers with you, where you should start from. Go for 2017 papers first. Okay. In fact, yes, one of you was asking, whether sports, something related to sports has been asked. In 2017 slot 1, we had a passage on the economics of sports, the economics of hosting sports. So it was about how countries that host these Commonwealth Games, etc., create infrastructure that is not used later on. So it was about that. So you will find them to be relatively easier than what has been the recent trend. So go for those passages first. Gradually build a level in your, up level your RC reading and solving. All right. Avito, this is subjective. For some students, this works. For some, it does not. Also, it depends on whether you get a lot of direct questions in that exam or not. So in IFT, for instance, I read the questions first, because there are a lot of direct questions, right? Then I go and I read the RC passage. But in CAT, even when I do that, even if I do that, a lot of questions are inferential in nature. So they ask things like what can be inferred from the passage, or what is the main idea of the passage. Reading them does not really help me. Okay, reading them first does not help me. Such questions. So I go for passages first and questions later. You see what works for you. Okay. All right, then this is it from my side for today. I'll see you now on Tuesday. Okay, so I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye bye. See you at 12 on Tuesday. This is our CAT program. You know about it. And I hope you've liked the session. I hope you learned new things and the logic of why we've eliminated region option is clear to you. If not, you can still ask me. If you watch this session later, you can ask me in the comment section. Right? These are our social media handles. Please follow. And this is how you can stay connected to each other as well through this channel. Okay? All right then. Bye. Welcome. Bye bye.